What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Marienrs post-game recap. Before I get started, if you are enjoying the post-game recaps, hit the sub button. If please hit the like button if you're watching them. Even if you're not, just want to support my channel. The likes help me out tremendously. Thank you to everybody that is watching. Get involved. Leave some comments too. I'm always down to talk Marienrs baseball. So get engaged with it. I do appreciate everyone that has watched so far. The likes and subs just help me out tremendously, so thank you. The Marienrs lose 14-9 to the Chicago Cubs today. A very frustrating, annoying game to say the least. The Mariners get up 7-0 in this one after 2, and then they blow it. By the bottom of the third, they're losing, and you just knew when they went down 8-7 they were not going to win that game. You're like, yeah, that's not how it works. You blow leads like that, you don't come back and retake leads. I mean, I'm sure teams have done it, but I think all Mariners fans could sit here and say when I think it was who was it? Velasquez hit that grand slam. We all knew the Mariners weren't winning that game. When the pitching is on, the hitting can't hit. When the hitting is on, the pitching can't pitch. I feel like that happened a lot last year, especially early when they struggled, and it's happening again to start the year this year. I'm not upset about them being 4-8. I'm really not. I've said it in my videos, and I'll stick with it, that I give it to May. And I'm not saying like May's the deadline, and if they're not in the playoff spot, then I'm out of it or I'm done. But I do believe in giving teams a month. This is a long sport. There's 150 games to go. The Mariners are a 6-2 homestand away from being 10-10. Or no, would that be? Yeah, they'd be 10-10. But it's also frustrating they would have to have a 6-2 homestand to get back to 500 now. They've kind of undone this road trip. Got off to a real good start. The vibes were good. They were 1 out away in Cleveland from being 500, being 5-5, and having a chance to go over 500. And now they're a loss away from going home 4-9. So it is frustrating when you look at it like that. And just finding ways to lose, finding ways to a game when you go up 7-0 that should be in the bag, and it's not. The timing for this team is off. Like, why couldn't they go up 7-0 and Luis Castillo was on the mound? Like, Luis Castillo pitches today, they probably win that game. They go up 7-0, they probably don't lose it. But it's Chris Flexen, and Flexen was terrible. There's no way around it. And the injuries are rearing their head. We've already talked about in the Cleveland series, the Andres Munoz jersey injury probably cost them that game. Because you probably would be able to use Munoz in there somewhere. They probably win that game against Cleveland and sweep that series with a healthy Andres Munoz. Mariners probably win today with Robbie Ray on the mound. Now, I'm not saying Ray is perfect. He has his moments where he can get a little wild and give some dingers. But he probably does enough in this game. Probably gets them through 5 or 6, 2-3 earned runs, and they probably hold on to win this game today with Robbie Ray pitching. Now, Chris Flexen is and should be better than what he was today. He was just awful. His final line, 2 1/3, 10 hits, 8 runs, 2 strikeouts, or 2 walks, 1 strikeout. He was terrible. Chris Flexen should have won this game today. It should have had to come down to they would have had Robbie Ray or Castillo, they would have won. Flexen should be good enough to win this game as well. But you do see the injury playing a role. It did. And listen, Chris Flexen, like Marco, they're back-end starters. Flexen's going to have some good starts. I thought he looked good against the Angels last week. But when his command and control isn't there, he's not a big swing and miss guy. The ball was flying out tonight. And there were some little loopers again that fell in against him. Yan Gomes had an infield hit that made it 7-1, and he had another little dinker that dropped in to load the bases. There were some bad luck. If you give up 8 runs as a starting pitcher, you probably got unlucky somewhere in there, but it's still bad pitching. In the end of the day, Flexen was bad, and it just coincides. Like I said, the timing for this team is off. If Flexen would have gone yesterday, not that Scott should have done that, but I'm just saying, had Flexen been the guy yesterday and got lit up like this, we would have thrown out and said, okay, whatever, 14-3 or whatever. And then today, had Luis Castillo been going, they'd probably win the game. So it's just kind of frustrating when you can't get the offense and the pitching on the same page. I made some comments on Twitter kind of mocking, like saying, oh, the Mariners aren't going to get anything going on offense after they got down and everything like that, jokingly, sort of. But I can't knock the offense. I mean, they scored 9 runs. Like, yeah, they did it all early, but so what? If you go into a game and say, hey, you're going to score 9 runs today, you'd be the best offense that ever played this game. So there's no reason 9 runs shouldn't win you the game, regardless of if they were all in the first 2 innings or not. And they did add on a little bit. They scored in the 4th and the 8th, so they did score again. And if Flexen would have done his job, they probably would have scored a little bit more because the worst relievers would have come in for the Cubs, and maybe they could have scrapped out a couple more runs. But it's just really, really frustrating. It's one of those moments where it's like, it's hard to envision what a Mariners win looks like. You ever go through that where you're watching your team? It's like, I don't even know what this feels like for them to win. Everything was frustrating. That 3rd inning was just, it was tough to watch. It was just it reminded me of like in football when another team is just running on you and just 4 yards a pop. That's what the Cubs are doing, just base hit to right. Everything's like the opposite way, just dropping in, getting in. And then the home runs too, Mancini and Velasquez hit the home runs. And Flexen didn't have it. I kind of thought Scott should have just left him in at that point, eat the innings, like kind of like, dude, now you're gonna have the lead. You got to give us 5. Like, it just is what it is. You've got to get at least through 4. But the bullpen ended up not being too taxed. Gott came in, actually did a nice job. Jose Rodriguez wasn't very good. He came up when Dukakis went back down, but he gave him 3 innings. That's what you needed. Diego Castillo wasn't very good either. He has not been very good to start the season. Now, remember, Diego Castillo got off to a really rough start last year. He had that series in New York. Dave Sims always talks about it. He came in against the Mets, bases loaded, 1 out, got a couple strikeouts, and from that point on, Castillo was back. So I do think Diego Castillo will be fine. I really do. He looked really good in his last appearance in Cleveland. I think he's just off to a bit of a rough start. But, yeah, just kind of been the nature of the game for a team that, listen, we talked about it before the season. This team is going to lean on its run prevention to win games. And here you go. The offense did enough for them to win, and they couldn't do it. The run prevention unit, the pitching, was just bad today. And like I said, the injuries are, rearing their head. Like the Robbie Ray injury matters. And I know some people don't think Robbie Ray was great last year, but you look at his numbers, he was pretty solid. He's a good pitcher. I don't expect him to win a Cy Young or be an ace, but he is this perfect number 2 type starter. Again, they probably win that game with Robbie Ray. They should have won and 9 times out of 10 they'll win that game with Chris Flexen. But it's just why Robbie Ray is better than Flexen. Flexen you're susceptible to these type of outings when you're a back end starter. It just is what it is. You don't have a lot of strikeout stuff. You're pitching to contact, and his command was not good. He didn't have the feel for any of the off speed stuff today. And they sat on the Cubs sat on the fastball and hit it. It's funny because when the Mariners got up 7-0, I was going to make the point. Wisniewski, who started for the Cubs, he went an inning and a third. Technically, 2 runs were earned, but he gave up 7 runs, 4 walks, no strikeouts. I mean, he was awful too. That was going to be my thing I was going to start with. That's the first pitcher the Mariners have seen this year that was just bad. I know the Mariners got some runs off of like Cal Quantrill, but Quantrill was still throwing strikes, just getting hit. I mean, Wisniewski was bad. He wasn't throwing strikes. The Mariners were tattooing everything in the first couple innings. I mean, even the outs were hit hard. I was making a point on Twitter that, there was a point in the second inning where literally outside of a Colton Wong ground out, the first time through the order, either everybody hit the ball hard or they walked. But, the Cubs bullpen did a good job and held the Mariners down after that. But again, I can't be mad at the offense for scoring 9 runs. Julio's in a bit of a slump. He was 0 for 5 today. It would have been nice for him to add a couple hits in there. That may have been the difference. He did sting that ball in the first inning. Ty France 3 for 4, 2 RBIs. He walked. Eugenio hit his first home run of the year and had a sac fly. Just missed a grand slam by a little bit. Just got under it for what would have been his second home run. So he was 1 for 4, 3 RBIs. Cal Raleigh 2 for 5 with an RBI. Teoscar was 1 for 5 with an RBI. The one positive right now for the Mariners, not the one, but the biggest positive right now for the Mariners is Jared Kelenic. Jared Kelenic looks like, an MVP candidate right now. And I don't know if I'm going to keep that up. but he is hopefully cementing himself as an everyday player for the Mariners and a legitimate, all talk about Julio. We forget that Kelenic was the prize prospect for a while. He's the guy that came up first. He was kind of the first name in the rebuild in the Edwin Diaz trade. And he's only, how old is Kelenic? 23, 24? Let's see if I can pull it up here real quick. He is born in 99, so he's 23. Jared Kelenic's 23. So the notion that was like, oh, this is it for Kelenic, he better come through. Like, the guy's 23 years old. Deep breaths. Yeah, he's been off to a rough start in his career, but this is a really good sign, and he is mashing the ball. He was 2 for 3 at RBI and 2 walks with a home run. That home run was crushed, and it was the opposite way. So not only did he able to hit the home run to left center, and it looked cool too because it went into a little tunnel there. Crushed a double where he just missed a home run, and the 2 walks. So Jared Kelenic is off to a tremendous start. Might be time to move him up in the order a little bit. It may be. Now, there's no one really to bump down. You're not going to move Julio, Ty, Gino, Cal. So I don't know. It's maybe fine where it is. But, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but if Jared Kelenic is going to be this type of player, that is more important than the result right now because that will help the Mariners get more wins down the road. Colt Wong was 0 for 5 with an RBI. I guess Tommy LaStella's hit was changed to an error. I thought they gave him a hit on that. I guess they gave him an error. He was 0 for 4. I don't know how much longer Tommy LaStella will last on this roster. JP was 1 for 3 with a walk. That's fine. He had a double and a walk. I'd take that every day from JP. Yeah, I think Tommy LaStella is probably the guy to go when Dylan Moore gets back. I would say maybe one of these bullpen guys, but the way things are going right now, they're going to need every arm. Cooper Hummel at least has some speed and positional versatility, which I think will keep him on the roster. I guess you could send Haggerty down, but you're really going to miss his speed in extra inning games and stuff like that. So my guess is Tommy LaStella might not be on the roster after there was some talks of Dylan Moore coming back for the next homestand. I would guess LaStella might be gone after that. So we'll see. I think the Mariners' best lineup is having some form of Dylan Moore, AJ Pollock out there with Teo at DH. We'll see what they end up doing once Dylan Moore gets back. But it'll be nice to have Dylan Moore back as well. And yeah, I mean, just, a bad game from Julio. I can't knock the offense. They scored 9 runs. They scored 1 run per inning. You're going to win majority of your games scoring 9 runs. These losses do happen. But man, every loss you say these happen are just happening to the Mariners now. The loss in Cleveland, kind of a heartbreaker. Yesterday's game was a winnable game for them. And today's one where, it's not the walk-off loss, but they are just finding ways here. So it's 3 games in a row where this team is really probably should have won all 3. Maybe yesterday, not as much because they never really had the lead. They did have the lead early, actually. Maybe not yesterday so much, but you could certainly make the case for it. Now, the good news is that is the case. Like, they could have won all 3. So you could be sitting at, you're not that far off from sitting at, what would it be, 7-5? You're really not. But you don't get to get those games back. So like I said, 4-8 doesn't bother me. Just the way it's happening is frustrating. The last 3 games have been very trying. You certainly you wouldn't rather lose games 15-0 because that's a bad sign. It means you're probably a bad team. But just, the way it's going, they didn't hold that 7-run lead. I mean, it was the bottom of the 3rd they gave it right back. They had it for an inning. So just frustrating. Then you got to go up against Marcus Stroman tomorrow, who's been off to a great start this year. Hopefully Logan Gilbert's on his game. I don't know. I don't have much expectations for tomorrow. This ballpark is just a tough one. The ball flies out there. It seems like the park is very much made for the home team. The Cubs are always tough to beat in Chicago. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Mariners drop it tomorrow. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they can salvage a game. Hopefully they can get to a 500 road trip. I'd be okay with that. It's not great with the way it started, but you can survive that. Getting home 5-8's okay. And it gets tough at home too. You do have Colorado, who's not very good. And you've got Milwaukee's tough. St. Louis is tough. And then you go to Philly, who's tough. I'm waiting for the Tigers and A's to show up here. Not that anything is a guaranteed win, but it'd be nice to get those teams in there early. So the Mariners are going to have to do some battling here. Like I said, 4-8's not the end of the world. They were going to have 4-8 stretches at some point this season. But with how the team started last year, it would have been really nice to get off to a hot start this year. And you don't want the fan base thinking out last year was a fluke or anything like that. And you can't rely, on a 14-game winning streak. Now, they don't need a 14-game winning streak right now, but you can't just assume that's going to happen either. So, they need to get some wins. Winning's a cure for a lot of things. Maybe they can find a way tomorrow to just pull it out, get out of there. A 3-3 road trip is okay. Can live with that. But I don't know. I kind of got a bad feeling about tomorrow. Just do. I'm sorry. It's not trying to be negative. I just don't. I kind of want to get this series over with. It's just been a frustrating series to be in Wrigley. It's cool. I love Wrigley, but just this series drives me a little nuts. Get out of there, have the day off, get home, and hopefully start to win some series at home, and get back in it. So frustrating. At the end of the day, the offense was good enough. It was frustrating that they scored the 7 the first 2 innings and didn't add on, but I cannot be mad at the team that scores 9 runs. You can't do it. It's like if you give up a walk-off home run in a 1-0 game, can you be mad at the pitching to hold the 1 run? Even though, that home run at the end stinks, can't really be mad at them. So I can't be too mad at the offense. I'm kind of done with Tommy La Stella at DH. Looking forward to maybe having, Dylan Moore back and Teo DHing more. We'll see what they like to. Even Cooper Hummel, at least he had some good at-bats yesterday. So I'd rather even see Cooper Hummel in there. And, the pitching was, not good. I thought Gott was okay. Rodriguez at that point, kudos, ate up 3 innings. They needed that. Diego wasn't good, and Chris Flexen was just straight up awful tonight. So it is what it is. Flexen will be better. He's not going to have an 8.74 ERA this season. But certainly another game that the Mariners, tonight the 7-0 lead, you should hold that and win. Yesterday, you don't like losing when Luis Castillo is going against Drew Smyly. And then Sunday, you've got the lead in the 9th inning with 1 out to go. So 3 games in a row that kind of very frustrating to lose for the Mariners. Hopefully they get back at it tomorrow and can pick up a dub. Like I said, I'm not in any sort of panic mode. It's just more of a frustration. I don't care where your team's at or what point. It is frustrating to lose games. So that's all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, notifications, all that stuff. Turn it on. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure what time I'll have my post game up tomorrow. Maybe tough. Got a long day ahead tomorrow, so I don't exactly know when I'll get that post game up. I will try and do one late afternoon. I won't be able to watch the game tomorrow, more than likely, so it's just going to be kind of going off what I see in the box score. But thank you all for watching. Take care. Have a great day. And as always, go M's.